Welcome to Fearless and Focused. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Casey.
And we're here to share bold stories, real talk,
and strategies to help you push past fear and level up.
Let's get fearless and focused. Welcome to another episode of Fearless and Focused. I'm Brooke Brollo with my co-host Casey Cookert, and we have a very special guest today. My friend Nicole Johnson is joining us today. I've known Nicole for I don't even know how many years. Like we have been friends forever, it seems. And over the past few years, several years, she has gone on this wellness journey. And I've just followed it and been in love with it. And she's just inspired me. And so I wanted to bring her on today to share some amazing information with us. But I want to read her bio real quick. So Nicole is a mom of 3 kiddos. Hi, kids. She's a certified health coach. She has a podcast and is the founder of the Wellthy Healthy Life. Her approach to wellness empowers women to break free from toxic diet culture, which is so huge. I can't wait to get into that, and embrace body acceptance. Also that. Her journey she's developed a signature framework that blends nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress management. Hello, we all need that. In a way that feels sustainable, not overwhelming. So welcome to the show, Nicole. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm super excited to be here joining you ladies.
Yeah.
It's going to be so good. And it's going right along with our theme for like summer of healthy and fitness and, breaking all of the conditioning and all the thing that us women carry. But can we start with some fun rapid fire questions first?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So what's your favorite coffee order?
Oh, I am pretty basic when it comes to coffee. I'm like, give me whatever the coffee is. I do prefer light roast if that's available. Plus, usually like a little bit of cream. I used to put oat milk in it. Now that's not good for you. So I usually go with straight cream, and I do like a pump of vanilla every now and then.
Perfect. What's one wellness trend that you secretly love, even if it's a little woo-woo?
I don't know how woo-woo this is, but I do like the infrared saunas.
Me too.
Nice.
I have a fun mask that my kids are like, "What is happening? What do you have on your face?"
What's your favorite lazy girl dinner that's still pretty healthy?
Honestly, I think a lot of my dinners these days are lazy, and I will take like frozen vegetables. I did this last night and saute them in a pan, add some sort of protein like chicken or steak, whatever that is, and then rice or potatoes. Like it is hard for anyone to mess that up, even if you don't love to cook or you don't cook often. And you don't have to like make it hard where you don't have to chop all the vegetables, just use frozen ones.
Have you met our friend, Tiffany Barger? She would
I know.
disagree. She would disagree.
She's like, I'm not cooking. I'm like, well, for you, we order.
Exactly.
Okay, just a couple more. So what's worse, missing a workout or missing sleep?
Missing sleep.
Agree. If your kids described what you do for a living, what would they say?
Well, Dylan likes to say that I'm a doctor, and I'm like, "No." Like,
Deal.
like, "Well, you help people." I'm like, "Yes, I do help people, but it's not I'm not a physician, so let's not." I think she's told her friends that at school. I'm like, "That's not accurate." She's 10, so this was a few years ago. But I think they know that I help people. They would say something like that. Help people be healthier.
Nice. Okay, one more. What's your current obsession, podcast, product, or show?
Podcast, product, or show? Oh gosh, any kind of reality TV. I mean, Brooke knows, that's like my vice. I love The Real Housewives, and I just started the new Bravo show that is Next Gen NYC. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
What's wrong with me? But I think it's like my way to like just veg out, and I'm like, money can't buy everything. It really can't. So
Right. That is my it's not a vice. Like, that is my, like, how I do my downtime and reset. My husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to the room. I'm shutting the door and I'm just going to binge watch these people screaming at each other and all of their drama. It's just so mindless and I can just check out completely. So I knew that was I was like, she's going to say something on Bravo. It's got to be reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it like the best weekend? It's like, oh my gosh, this weekend I'm going to just like get in the room, shut the door and watch people's drama. Like that does kind of sound bad, but it's so
It's so
relaxing and so
fun.
weird way.
I
I
know.
think maybe it makes us, like, not need the drama in our life because 'cause I'm just,
Or we
watching
can't
it.
focus on our own drama, we're focusing on someone else's.
Right. We can be like, it could be more messed up. Look at that. Look at what they're dealing with.
Not too bad. I'm not that crazy.
Yeah, that crazy. Well, awesome. Okay, so Nicole, like I said earlier, I've known you forever, and you've always been like fairly healthy, but that you've really taken it to a whole nother level. So, and I know you've had some struggles of your own, and whatever you feel, to share, feel free. But what got you started on this journey and turned into now becoming a certified health coach?
I wish there was, like, one, aha moment, but I really think for me, diving in to health and wellness is twofold. One, I think my corporate career has always been in the health space, and a lot of it has been selling, like, capital equipment inside hospitals. And so I have seen firsthand what not taking care of yourself can look like. Now,
Mhm.
I do want to say, like, obviously, horrible things can happen to people that do take care of themselves. So I'm not saying that, but I have seen people laying in hospital beds, on ventilators, things like that, knowing that if they had maybe made some lifestyle adjustments, they could have had a much longer life or at least a better quality of life. And so I think that even unconsciously initially was entering my mind. And then becoming a mom alongside of that and just starting to kinda dive into food and how much of it really started with food for me and how food really can be medicine. So, like, what you're eating is either helping or hurting your body, your gut, your brain, your immune system, all the things. And I will say, along the course, it was probably around COVID that a little bit before COVID that I decided to do the health coaching certification, and I really just, one, wanted more knowledge in that space, and I wanted the certification, right? Like, I wanted the credentials behind it, so because I felt like that people would take that more seriously,
Right.
rightfully so. Um, and initially, my approach was really focused on, like, nutrition, movement, stress, and sleep, and it still is, and through my own personal struggles with body image and then just being honest through my daughter having some issues with that, it has become really obvious to me that almost every woman has issues with their body at some point in their life and
100%.
punishes themselves or compares themselves. And the mindset work has to be a part of the other four things I just talked about in order to really have long lasting, sustainable results and actually feel good. Because you can be, I mean, I, by societal standards, am definitely skinny and thin and have always been that way. And people have always commented, like, you're so lucky. I do think genetics definitely plays a huge part in it and I still struggle. Like, I was just at the beach, and I put on a swimsuit, and I'm like, "I don't look as good as I did 5 years ago." But what I want for women is to maybe think that because that it's to never think things like that is impossible, but, like, maybe you think that, but you put the swimsuit on and you go to the beach anyway with your kids. There are so many women out there that won't do that. Like, they literally don't participate in things that they wanna participate because of how they look or how they feel in their body, and I think that's just such an important conversation, especially today, not just for people our age, but for our daughters and the younger generation who are getting massively infiltrated with pictures on social media and TikTok and YouTube, showing them what they should look like, some of which isn't even real because it's a filter or it's,
Right.
photoshopped. So, that is kind of where I'm at with it. I definitely still focus on those 4 pillars: nutrition, movement, stress, and sleep, but I definitely have incorporated the mindset piece in the last few years.
And I think that's so important. And just, you kind of mentioned like mirroring it with your daughter. Like, don't you think that that takes it to a whole new thing? Like when you have daughters and then just wait until you have granddaughters. And then it's like you feel like this whole other, deeper level of responsibility of like, you know, I don't want you paying attention to all of that you're seeing, just like you said, feeding right in the screen. So I'm just so glad that women are really talking about this because I think that is how we'll start to just change some of that mindset and that focus around body image for our younger girls, coming in just saturated with it. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that and that you're being like that pillar of strength out there for that confidence for younger women. So let's kind of dive into a lot of women, and you mentioned moms, a lot of moms. Okay, we feel like we're running on fumes, girl. We're running on fumes. So, what's just one mindset shift or hack that you can offer that helps that mom that's like, I know I need to do better in this area of nutrition and fitness, but I have nothing left. What's a mindset shift they can do?
I think the first step is really just becoming aware of the negative thoughts that we're having, and that takes a little practice, but once you kinda become aware of the thoughts, then it's like thinking the thought, like maybe it's, "I don't have enough time today." Is that true? Is that really true? Or are we just so used to telling ourselves that we don't have enough time or carving out time for other things and then taking that thought and reframing it and saying, I'm busy today, but I'm going to make sure that I take time for myself. It's never going to work 100% of the time, but I really have noticed with clients that as they kind of start just making those little shifts with their thoughts and reframing them, they start to feel better, and that builds momentum and that builds consistency. And it's really just about kind of starting where they're at because everyone is at different levels, but depending on what they need help with the most, there's always tips and tricks when it comes to nutrition or movement and those types of things. And I'm happy to share, any of those as well specifically. But I think the first thing is just understanding what are the negative thoughts? Is there really truth to them and reframing them?
Yeah. And I think that's huge because mindset in
Mhm.
anything, in work, in play, in your health, all of that plays a huge piece. And you have to, if you tell yourself negative things, you're going to find the negative. If you tell yourself positive things, you're going to find the positive. So I think the mind shift work that you're doing, I think that is amazing. I kind of wanted to dive into like what, diet culture like that, like 30 whole 30 and clean eating and like I'm going to have a reset and all of that. Talk to me about your thoughts on those.
Yeah. So I do wanna be transparent and say, like, I've done all of that.
Same. That's
So,
same. That's why I'm like
which is why I know it doesn't work because I've done it. And I think that that was a part of my wellness journey is just I got, like, so you can get really consumed with it and, like, there's so much information coming at you. It can almost make you paranoid about, like, "Oh god, I can't eat this, I can't do that." But you can't live like that forever. It's not fun, for one. Like, most people, if they're in a really restrictive eating place or, like, super diligent about never missing a workout, like, if they're being honest, that's not fun. So I've gotten to a point where, to me, it's really about creating balance, and things like Whole30 and keto or a juice cleanse, those things will yield results, but they're short term, and if you're not, building in some of those lifestyle changes that are more in balance, almost everyone will gain the weight back if that's what the goal was, right? If the goal is to lose weight, those things will do it a lot of times, but then you come off the wagon because it's not sustainable. And so my approach these days is really I like the 80-20 rule. It's what you
yes.
do most of the time, not what you do all of the time, right? And I also like the idea of not thinking about what you can't have, but just trying to add in actual healthier things. So adding in fruit, adding in vegetables, those things are easy to do. Like I mentioned earlier, you can get frozen versions of those if you don't want fresh. You can get already cut fruit and vegetables if that's what you want and you don't want to prep. But adding those things in instead of thinking about, oh, I can't have this, because then you usually become really fixated on wanting something that you're
Right.
yourself you can't have.
Everybody wants something they can't have. And like that, just that 80/20 is gives you a really good, like, okay, I can do that. That is like approachable. Like you're like, yes, I can definitely do that and commit to something like that forever, right? Everything in moderation. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's so good and sustainable, just like you said. So let's talk about, Nicole, a little bit about mom guilt. How do you help your clients with mom guilt about, her feeling guilty about taking some time for herself to devote to this area because she's doing so much for everybody else? And, we all suffer from this, I'm sure. How do you help your clients kind of like maneuver through that?
Yeah, I think that the first thing is to recognize what you just said, that, like, almost every mom is suffering from mom guilt, and the whole question of can you have it all, like, I think you can have it all, but you're always trading something off, and it's about being honest with yourself and about being realistic in that, and I think just having those conversations with your kids around, obviously different ages, different types of conversations, but about, mom needs to be able to go do her workout because when I come back, I'm going to show up better for you. And when you start noticing that you really do show up as a better person when you take care of yourself, you're less irritable, you're less likely to snap at them, you're less likely to lose it, which we've all been guilty of if we're being honest, most likely. Once you start seeing that waking up a little earlier and meditating or waking up and just having a few minutes alone or getting your workout in or eating foods that make you feel good, whatever your self-care thing is, taking care of yourself actually makes you a better mom, which it will, then I think it becomes easier to pick yourself. And then I think also just telling yourself, "What would I want my kids to do when they're adults?" Because they're always watching, right? And I don't want my daughter, I have a son as well, to look at me and feel like they have to sacrifice themselves for their children. Of course, we all would, right, given the right circumstances, but at the end of the day, like, I want my kids to pick themselves first, and then that bleeds over into them being a better husband, a better partner, a better wife, mom, whatever the thing is.
Yeah, I agree. And something you said, having, yes, can you have it all? Like you can, but not all at the same time, right? Like there's a book, Pick Three. Have you read that by Randy Zuckerberg?
No, I need to.
Oh god, it's so good. And it says that like you can have it all, just not all at the same time. So it's like you're picking your battles. You're picking what do you need most today, and then you're balancing all of that out because you can't do family, friends, health, wellness, sleep, work all in the same day. Like you can only run at that capacity for so long before you hit a brick wall. And we kind of talked about that earlier, like running on fumes. But kind of what I want to know, especially being an older 40s lady, I know hormones have a lot to do with that. So do you kind of talk in that space to your clients about hormones, perimenopause, things like that?
Yeah, definitely. Because I will say a lot of the clients I work with are around our ages and in that kind of perimenopause phase, and so they'll come and be like, "I'm doing the same." I literally just had this conversation, not with a client, but with a friend the other day. She's like, "I'm doing everything I've always done, and I've still gained weight and can't get it off." And I'm like, "That's your hormones." And so it is important to, I think, understand what some of those symptoms look like. Like, are you having hot flashes? Are there more brain fog? Is the weight in the middle, right? Like, just that's where like the weight tends to go, like on the stomach and then the hips a little bit. Um, are you having trouble sleeping? Are you feeling more anxious? Like, these are all things that are kind of that perimenopause. What I think's so confusing about it is your hormones are doing this. It's not like a ladder. It doesn't just like a linear decline. It's like they're good, they're not, they're good, they're not. And so one week you might feel great, and the next week you feel crazy, and then you feel good, and that's all normal. What I encourage people to do first is like definitely strength training, if we wanna talk specifics on working out, is very important for this age and this hormone phase. I would say HIIT workouts, you can do that some, but, like, anything that's really intense, that usually doesn't work as well. Like, if you used to run all the time and
And
that's how
thank
you.
God, because I hate high
Yeah,
intensity.
I agree.
I'm like,
Used to do
yay.
what we used to do, all the cardio stuff, I guess I should say. I'm not saying cardio is not important, it's really great for heart health, but that is not what's going to lose the weight like it used to. And a lot of that has to do with our hormones, has to do with cortisol levels. So switching your focus to things like strength training, making sure you are balancing your blood sugar more as we get older, because insulin resistance starts coming into play, which is good thing there is eat every 3 to 4 hours, and always be thinking about protein, fiber, and fat. Like with your meals, protein, fiber, and fat, mixing those things in to keep your blood sugar more balanced, that can help. And honestly, I'm a fan of getting tested, like getting your lab work done. I work with a company that will do the lab work because it's a lot easier than guessing at what might be off. Hormones are hard to test, but you can test at different phases in your cycle. And then depending on where you're at and what you're open to. I'm also someone that entertains the idea of hormone replacement therapy. I don't do that. I'm not a physician, but I personally have been tested and have gone down that route.
I'm so glad that there's like an answer and there's talk about this. It's like so trendy. I was just watching a special with Halle Berry, and she's like started this whole company on like, perimenopause and menopause, and like it's finally being talked about. So we're not just feeling like, okay, I am going through menopause, so I'm just going to be crazy and just settling for that. So I love that you are like, bringing some awareness and conversation about that. And it's like, okay, to talk about it. And it doesn't have to be this big scary thing that's just kind of hidden that nobody talks about. Cause I think like, even my mom, like she never talked about
Right.
this stuff. Like it was kind of like a secret code that and you just, nod that, okay, we got it, we know, but you don't talk about it. So I love that you're going into bringing this into your practice. So that's so amazing. Okay, so here's a question that we always ask our guests: what does fearless mean to you, Nicole?
I think fearless means to me doing things that make you uncomfortable in the name of growth. I always say like the best things happen on the other side of fear. It doesn't mean that you're not scared. It doesn't mean that you don't actually feel the fear, but you do feel the fear and do it anyway. And I read a book recently, Good to Great. I don't know if you've read that one. It's another
Mhm.
good one. But it really talks about how there's a lot of people out there that are just living in status quo, right? Like your life is good. And that's fine if that's what you want. But if you want a great life or a great business or fill in the blank, you have got to be willing to do things that make you uncomfortable. And it does become easier. I mean, it does, but you have to quit giving a shit what people think, which is easier as you get older. I don't know if y'all feel
It
that way, but
is. I know.
yeah, like after 40, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put the thing on Instagram. Who really cares what people think? Most people aren't thinking about you. They might for like 2 seconds. I tell my kids this all the time. I'm like, they're thinking about you for like 2 seconds. They're worried about themselves because most
Exactly.
people are self centered. But yeah, I think it just comes down to maybe you can feel scared, but you don't let that stop you from going after something you really want or trying something new.
Yeah, I love that you said that, and I love that you added on the end, "in the name of growth." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that hit me because yeah, I mean, that's why we do it, right? We're doing it because we wanna make a change, for the good, for the growth, all of those things, so I love that, and you're so inspiring, and I want people to know where they can find you. I know where I can find you, but all the people that are listening and watching and talk to us about make sure you mention your podcast too, and what that looks like, where they can find you there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Wellthy Healthy Life, Wealthy Wellthy, kind of a play on words there.
Yeah.
And that's the podcast too, the Wealthy Healthy Life podcast, where I have lots of guests on. I've had several professionals in the perimenopause space come on there, but really just women, mostly women like yourselves that are like high achievers, that are really inspiring, but that are very vulnerable and share like the good, bad, and the ugly of it all. But a lot of it is wellness focused, whether that's nutrition, fitness, mindset, all kinds of things you can find on the podcast.
I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love your podcast. It's really good. I've listened and I'm like taking notes. I'm like, okay, I got to do all these things. I did get my hormones checked. And, like I'm just so glad that, there are people like you out there willing to put yourself out there, willing to have guests on, willing to go through the hard and talk about things that not everybody talks about, that women especially, need to know and talk about, and then to know that they're not alone. So thank you so much for joining us today, Nicole. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Loved it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am making mental notes about the book that you recommended, and then I'll make sure that tell us about do you drop weekly podcast episodes, or how does your schedule work?
Yes, every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. So every Tuesday a new drop. So make sure you go follow and tune in. And thank you so much for everything, Nicole.
Yeah, thank you, ladies.
Thanks for tuning in to Fearless and Focused. Remember, success is not about being perfect. It's about showing up, staying bold, and taking action.
If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration.
Keep chasing your dreams, staying fearless, and keeping your focus strong.
Until the next time, stay
fearless and focused.